Oh, well, bugger. Hello, folks. I completely forgot that the pre-stream video was muted, and B, that it still said back in an hour. Sorry about that. Let me just get the music going in the background. And just double check everything's working correctly on OBS. It is good, so we can throw that into performance mode. Hello, Brinson and Chad. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. Just getting the house ready for Fallout coming over on Tuesday. Incidentally, I do want to say I was going to do a purely chatty stream today, regardless of the fact that Evo also decided to do one today. I am not doing one just because she did. We both coincidentally had the same sort of I'm tired of doing building on Evolution 3, I need a break stream. So it's pure coincidence that we both decided to do the same thing on the same day. Hello, Kyrie and Corey. A coincidence? I don't think so, says Chad. But yes, today I thought we would, just sit, have a chat, talk about Evolution 3, talk about where the game currently is now with having, we've had 2 DLCs, we've had our first big expansion. We can talk about that, talk about future videos that are popping up on the channel, the Walking with Dinosaurs retrospective, for example, the Lagoon expansion video that I want to do, that I'm in the planning process of. Or we can talk about, if you have any questions for me or Triglaw, we can talk about that, or anything you'd like me to chat about. So really, it's up to you guys here. I'm kind of being a bit lazy, and I'm offloading stuff onto you guys. I'm also hoping we're going to get quite a few people show up, but we'll see how it goes. So I finished watching the entire Walking With series and Prehistoric Park, says Kairu. Did you also watch the Walking With specials? So Ballad of Big Owl, Land of the Giants, and was it The Terrible Claw or Super Claw or something along those lines? The Ordovision episode. Oh, for surviving a... Yeah, I still need to see that. Yeah, I watched Big Owl, Sea Monsters, and Chased by Dinosaurs. Good. Sea Monsters was an interesting show. It's also one of those that's very hard to find on... Jack, you are not first. Perhaps that's a delayed message? Who knows? Yeah, it's quite hard to find the Sea Monsters on DVD. I don't think it's ever been properly released or even re-released, because obviously the Walking With shows were all re-released quite a while ago now, but they were re-released on widescreen format, basically. But I don't think that's happened for Sea Monsters. Oh, Walking With Cavemen. Walking With Cavemen is an interesting show, because I feel it gets perhaps a little unfairly forgotten, but I was never particularly interested. It was a brave idea, but I was never particularly interested in Walking With Cavemen. I've seen some people not liking Sea Monsters and Chased by Dinosaurs because it's about a guy going around harassing animals. Well, I mean, Steve Irwin did that. and I still consider him one of my heroes when I was growing up, especially. So I think there's a difference between harassment and doing what naturists do. I mean, you could argue that some of the stuff David Attenborough does is, by that explanation, harassing an animal, but it's not. They're usually just picking the animal up so most of the time. That's not, and I don't think that's harassment in the same way. Hello, Marconian. You've only ever watched Walking with Dinosaurs and Walking with Beasts, Corey. I would give Walking with Monsters a look. Walking with Monsters is another interesting one, because they recycled some stuff that they cut from Walking with Dinosaurs for it. Or some ideas that they cut, so yeah, it's an interesting one. Do you think it would be cool to have prehistoric humans in our parks? No, Marconian. In fact, I think it would be horrific. You know, let's be fair, the ethics and morality around zoos and the ethics and morality around Jurassic Park, especially, is already pretty iffy. The ethics and morality about keeping prehistoric humans, which are sentient and conscious as far as we understand consciousness, that would be ethically horrific. You can't find Walking with Monsters anywhere. It is tricky to find on DVD these days, but I believe it is still sold on Amazon. I think I got mine off Amazon. Walking with the Monsters was the weakest show of the three. It was definitely weaker, but they, you know, they were only given 3 episodes. They weren't given the full 6. So. Terrific means good. No, I said horrific, Marconian. Tumbleweed, you raise an interesting matter about natural lagoons, because I will say right now that for my lagoon expansion, natural lagoons is something I deliberately decided not to do for a variety of reasons. And I'm kind of against the idea of natural lagoons in general. But that's I might save that discussion for the lagoon expansion video. Let's talk about Evolution 3. Now that we've had the Rebirth DLC, now that we've had the first Dinosaur Pack DLC, and where we kind of feel that the game is at the moment. I remaking Jurassic Park on the Island Gen for loving memory of Sam. Well, that's nice, Jack. Fletcher, would this species pet be worth it? Early Jurassic Africa, Dinosaurus, Eocarcharia, and a third species I can't decide if the Rhino is the free species. Maybe. I mean, the main issue I would say with those, and with those two specifically, is I don't think they bring anything truly different to the game. Anyway, let's just talk quickly about Evolution 3, and now that the Rebirth DLC has been and gone, and we are we are almost at the end of July, so we're not too far away from the first year anniversary. And I have to say, I don't think Jurassic World Evolution 3's first year has been particularly great. I think the Wetland Dinosaur Pack was a little bit of a disappointment. And the Rebirth expansion pack, I think it, as I said in my review of the Rebirth expansion pack, I think it is a highly controversial expansion, simply because really to get the most out of it, you have to like the film it's based on, and the film it's based on is, in my opinion, one of the worst films I have ever seen. So it's tricky. Jurassic Gym, hi, I'm building an abandoned facility in Evolution 3 and would like some tips for things to add. If you're building a facility, Jurassic, think industrial in nature. Think about not necessarily making buildings that are looking pretty for tourists, but think about making them look distinctly industrial. The Rebirth DLC has a lot of pipes that are useful. If you don't have it, I would suggest, a lot of pipe works. And also think about what your facility is for. That can help you with the sort of the gist of what your buildings need to look like. Like, is your facility, like, which bits of your facility are for people to live at, which bits of your facility are for people to work at, and decide what goes in them based on that. Evolution 2 was the peak of this game trilogy. I will not argue that. That's a interesting take, Corey, actually. It doesn't help that they were stuck in a huge mess that was no show through April and May. Yes, true, Kairu. That doesn't help. Some of that was their own making, because their level of communication was bad. I'm not disappointed in the Wetlands pack, but it's a personal preference. Yeah. It is a very personal preference. To be honest, while I like the Irritator and Osteoraptor, they are still quite similar to stuff we already have, and it's even more obvious for Hypsilophodon. Yeah, I'll tell you the thing I like about the Wetland pack, other than the Irritator. I like the idea of dinosaur packs in future not just having species in them. I don't think they always need to have modular building sets. You could combine dinosaurs with other things like new maps or new attractions or new variants. I don't think it always has to be modular building sets. But I like the idea that it isn't just about the animals. That was always one of my criticisms about Evolution 2. Because the dinosaur packs are probably going to be the most... I say dinosaur packs. The animal packs are probably going to be the most numerous type of DLC. And beyond a certain point, you're just creating copy-paste dinosaurs with very minor differences. And having something additional definitely adds a little bit of worth to a pack that doesn't have it, for example. So I do like the idea of animal packs coming with something else that isn't animal related to just spice it up a bit. But I think the Wetland pack as a overall was a disappointment, simply because the only animal that's any good in it is the Irritator. I don't think the Osteoraptor does enough that makes it good. I don't think the Hypsilophodon does enough that makes it good. And I think the Wetland modular building stuff is very Florida American swamp coded, and it makes it very difficult to use elsewhere. So I will always love Osteoraptor. Well, yeah, obviously, everyone has their favorites, favorite animals. Hello, Chrono. And that's, everyone has their favorite animals, and that's whatever it is. But speaking from a broad perspective, I think there were much more unique and interesting animals that you could have put in that pack, or at the very least let the Ostroraptor and the Hypsilophodon swim, that would have made it unique enough, I think. An upside of having the Wetlands pack is that you can make Resident Evil 7 Biohazard with the dinosaurs roaming around. Is that an upside? Speaking as someone who's not a particular fan of the Resident Evil games. Like the raptors, I also don't think we need any more Spinosaurs in the game. Most of them are just the same thing at the end of the day. Yes, I don't think we need more Spinosaurs either. A lot of people say Ichthyovenator or Oxalia, but I think we're good, personally. Spinosaurus, Irritator, Baryonyx, Suko, I think that's good enough. I don't think we need the others. If anything, the only other thing I would say we should have is a paleo-accurate Barry variant, but that's about it. But yeah, I think the first year, and speaking again of the Rebirth DLC, I think the Rebirth DLC, it's so dependent on you liking Rebirth as a film. Two of the animals are discount Godzilla hybrids, and of the two genuine dinosaur species that they include, the Aqualops is probably the most useless animal now in the game, and the Titanosaur is... it just looks so stupid when it clips through everything. You know, the dinosaurs clipping through stuff has always been a problem, but with the Titanosaur, it just makes it so obvious. And like all the sauropods, they just don't move around enough. They tend to just sit in one place. I mean, I've had this problem with the sauropods that we already have. They don't move around the enclosures enough. They're just kind of bait ball. The modular building set stuff and the build set and the maps, I think, were really good. I just think it's a shame that the animals weren't. And yeah, I don't think the Rebirth DLC... I don't think it surprised us in any way. Like, I think we've all been waiting for this DLC to come out. And we all knew pretty much what it was going to probably have in it. And I don't think it's really surprised us in anything other than maybe being a bit more content rich than we anticipated in terms of the modular building stuff and the variants. But apart from that, I would say it's pretty much what we thought it was going to be. So overall, I don't think the first year for Evolution 3 has been particularly strong. Especially given that the Rebirth DLC seems to have introduced a whole bunch of bugs. Like, the game has become so buggy since that DLC. So they need to be fixed. And I just think that the game hasn't... You know, in this first year, the game just hasn't developed in the way that I think it should have. If you think about the first year of Evolution 2's development, we got like the completion of the Jurassic Park building set, and we got all those decorative elements, and I feel like the free updates and the general app updates and patches for Evolution 2 were far better than what we've gotten so far. Might be a hot take. I want more Permian species. No, I'm with you, Corey. I think the Permian and Triassic periods definitely need better representation. In fact, one part of my lagoon expansion is to provide better representation for certain time periods. The next DLC is going to have to do something big. Well, I'm going to assume the next DLC will probably be a dinosaur pack. It's just what animals they include in that dinosaur pack that's going to be interesting. And I would assume that pack would probably come out around the 1-year anniversary. I don't think we'll see it. Maybe we'll see it in October. I don't think we're going to see it in August, and I don't think we'll see it in September. But they could do. I would be surprised if we get 4 DLC in a year. I think 3 DLC in a year is going to be what they're going with now. The fact that Evolution 3 launched without a lagoon... a new lagoon species. Yeah, it's a weird one. Oh, look, there's a Megalodon. If the D-Rex and Mutodon had received a few vibrant, distinctive skins, the DLC would have ranked much higher for me. Yeah, I definitely think the Mutodon and D-Rex skin debacle, while it's one of the few things I agree with Evo on, is that I do think it's Universal's fault for that. Probably because both animals are probably going to show up in the next film, or they have a specific desire not to see them put in any other different colorations because toys, etc. But I do think it was Universal's fault. But I do think, even though it's Universal's fault, I think it does bring the pack, the Rebirth's animals down for that reason. Gigos, Slabosaurus, and Flatters are boring. Well, in the film they were. Yeah, Kyra Jara, it feels like such... it feels like such, it stinks of, like, last-minutism to me. Like, when you show up at school and you suddenly forget you had homework and you've got, like, half an hour to quickly do it before you're in the lesson. It just strikes me as, oh shit, we don't have a new lagoon species or a new aviary. Quick, just put something together based on Tapejara. But yeah, so overall, I think Evolution 3's first year has not been particularly good. But I still think that the game has a good foundation to get better on, but they just have to... They really need to develop it in the areas where it needs development. Like, I feel like they just continually ignore fixing stuff that's been broken since Evolution 2. I also think Frontier needs to move away from this idea that new animals is always the go-to. I feel like new variants or remodeling / retexture / reskinning other existing animals should also be considered. Thinking of the baryonyx, for example. Guanlong is still our only species from a time period besides Cretaceous. Oh, right, out of the new ones, yeah. I mean, I re-watched my initial review of Evolution 3. The other day, and I'm still pretty much agree with it. Even though some of the things I mentioned in the negatives have been fixed, in theory, I still agree with pretty much everything I say in it, and I think I rated the game a little higher than I think I feel on the game now. I actually think the game has gone down in its rating for me. Like, I think I rated it like a 7 out of 10, and I think right now I would rate it a 6. And that's solely because after the first year of development, I don't think the game has improved. Not in any, like, really hardcore, serious, dramatic ways. Yeah, Corey, I agree with you. That, in fact, that's what I saw your comment, and that's why I said I also agree that, you know, they should consider remaking, redesigning, redeveloping existing animals to make them better, rather than just adding new ones. I think we should have access to some of the ocean, allowing a ferry system and unique marine animal spottings. Funny you should say that, Ads. Part of my lagoon expansion is to include a map which has naturally spawning animals in the ocean for you to either capture and make use of in the park, or to provide viewing spectacles. So I agree with you. I think making better use of the ocean on ocean maps would be nice. Yeah, and Kairu hits on a good point here with Planet Zoo 2. Planet Zoo 2 seems to be doing everything that I wanted Jurassic World Evolution 3 to be doing. Those aquariums in Planet Zoo 2 look fantastic. It's just really frustrating because I feel like there's a quote from my end of life review for Jurassic World Evolution 1. And the quote is, Jurassic World Evolution, when compared to Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster, looks like a village idiot in a family of geniuses. And I felt that Jurassic World Evolution 2, in many respects, still felt like that. And Evolution 3, now that we've seen Planet Zoo 2, and Planet Coaster 2, and Planet Zoo 1, Evolution 3 still kind of feels like a bit of a village idiot, surrounded by geniuses. And obviously part of that is probably Universal's fault. But I also think part of that is Frontier's fault, because they're making a game that's extremely broad and as a result, not very deep. Like, if I could use another metaphor, like Evolution 1 was not very much butter on a piece of bread, and then Evolution 2 came along and gave you a little bit more butter, but the bread was the same size. And what Evolution 3 has done is come along and giving you a whole heap of butter to heap on this piece of bread, when really what you want is more bread. The foundation of the game is still the same as Evolution 1, and that's the defining problem with the Evolution franchise. It is still held back by all the mechanical stagnation that's inherent with the series. And you can put as many new animals on that as you like, but until you tackle the foundation, which is the mechanical, the lack of mechanics, the lack of management depth, It's not going to go anywhere. In terms of quality, anyway. Content has a quality of its own, but there's only so much content you can force into something before it becomes a bit naff. They think the combat of Evolution 3 is better than Prehistoric Kingdom because of the animations. I mean, I would say that Prehistoric Kingdom's combat animations are janky, but they're generally, I think, more realistic. I think Evolution's combat has always been fucking laughable because it's based on WWE wrestling. Whereas Prehistoric Kingdom's combat animations, it feels like they're trying to get it looking more natural. It is a bit janky, again. But it does look more natural. And fucking Evolution's animations are just as janky. I mean, God's sake, Evolution 3, the animations of some of the lagoon animals are still terrible, as are some of the pterosaurs. I think the game would be better if it just wasn't tied to the Jurassic franchise. Yeah. That is why I made the video that I made that came out this week, where I basically pointed out that the real big problem with the Evolution games is the brand. The actual brand it's based on, and the direction the brand has been taking for the past 10 years, has coincidentally created a huge bunch of problems for the Evolution games that makes them less good. I wouldn't say Evolution is shit, but there's so much less effort put into it. I agree with you there, Ads. I don't think it's shit. And I'm sure the people that work on it have just as much passion and interest in their jobs as any other game developer. I just think it's not maybe necessarily there's less effort. I just think the effort has been forced by Universal, probably, to be put into places where it doesn't need to be. That is, Jack raises an interesting question. Let's discuss this, actually, because I have maybe a bit of a controversial perspective on this. Do you guys think that, similar to what they did with Evolution 2, when they put in a statue of Richard Attenborough, well, Hammond, but you know what I mean. Do people think that they should bring a statue / memorial thing for Alan Grant to the game? Because I'm going to say they shouldn't, and I'll explain my reasoning for that, but I want you guys to tell me your thoughts. Do you think it should be brought in? Yes, Sam Neill deserves it. Okay. Would be nice to have. Mm-hmm. I mean, the main reason why I don't is because, firstly, Sam Neill, yes, was in 2 Jurassic films, but he was pretty prolific as an actor in doing a lot of other stuff. So I think if they were to do a memorial, it needs to be specifically for Alan Grant, not Sam Neill. But in addition, Alan Grant really hasn't been a driving factor in the franchise for a while. Yes, they brought them all back for Dominion, but let's be fair, the reason they did that was for pure fan service. It wasn't like Alan Grant was being brought back as a defining figure in the Jurassic franchise, was it? Like, they were brought back for fan service. And I think even more so, considering the sort of character assassination they made of his character in Dominion. I mean, what would be the explanation for having Alan Grant? Because you could then argue, well, okay, we should have statues of Robert Muldoon, and we should have statues of Ray Arnold, and we should have statues of Masrani. They are all also actors that, well, not Ray Arnold's actor, but Robert Muldoon's actor and Masrani's actor, they're dead. Why are they not deserving of statues as well? You know, I think... Yeah, Roland Tembo, yeah, Kairu, good call on that end. So, like, I think the idea of memorializing characters it's tricky. With Richard Hammond, I kind of get it because he's the defining father figure of the franchise. But I think when you go beyond that, I don't think it makes sense. Otherwise, everyone deserves a statue. So, yeah, I'm not sure if I would be for it or against it. And I certainly think if they were going to do it, they need to do a better job than the Hammond one they did for Evolution 2, because the Hammond one for Evolution 2 was crap. It was so boring, and they did such a terrible job. So if they were going to do one for Grant, they should put some effort into it. But yeah, it's just an interesting... It was just an interesting sort of thought I had there. It's just like... I think everyone would be happy to have a memorial for it, but I think when you actually spend some time thinking about it, I actually think it doesn't make sense to. Incidentally, I rewatched Hunt for Red October the other day because that's also another good film with Sam Neill in it. He does quite a passable Russian accent. Mr. DNA is already in the game, Corey. Were you unaware of said fact? I really need to play more Jurassic World Evolution. Apparently you do go... Well, it's not that you need to play more. It's more of the fact that the modular building menu is still so rubbish. It's really hard to find things. I don't use decorations in Evolution 3 at all because it's so shit. Yeah, ads, I mean, This is why before Evolution 3 even came out. In actual fact, let me just let me get up my area on YouTube so I can just have a look at my former videos. So I believe some time ago I did a hot takes video. Oh, the wrong channel. It was on the one I use for moderating. Yeah, so November the 6th, 2024, I made a video called Modular Building Would Be Bad, Jurassic World Evolution 3 Hot Take. And in that, I basically listed all the reasons why I think modular building wouldn't be very good for Evolution 3, and pretty much all the negative reasons I had for it have been pretty much proven since Evolution 3 came out. Frontier did not listen. No, they did not. What's strange is Evolution 3's modular building system has got me building stuff, whereas Prehistoric Kingdom system I do struggle more with. But I think that's primarily just due to the fact that Evolution 3 has very strong design styles for its eras. Whereas Prehistoric Kingdom, you obviously don't have that. And it's very, very hard to come up with a building when you don't have a style to base the building on. Like, when you have no design inspiration and it's like, invent an architectural style, that's very hard. Funny you should mention Hesperionis, Corey. It was one of the animals I was considering for my Lagoon expansion DLC idea. Modular building is great, but it made the decoration system awful. Yeah. I mean, the one thing I have always believed, and this might be quite a hot take and might be something I do a video on in the future, I actually don't like modular building in any game. I don't like it in Planet Zoo, I don't like it in Planet Coaster, I don't like it in Prehistoric Kingdom. I think as a game mechanic, it's quite bad. I think modular building as a game mechanic introduces so many negative things and does only one positive thing. And the only positive thing modular building does is add creativity. But that's only good if you're a naturally creative person. If you're not, everything else it does that's negative is a bad thing. See, Corey, I would say if Cenozoic animals were to come, I'd want it as an expansion, not just species, because I think there's a lot more that the game needs to have workable Cenozoics. Do you think Erythros... I'm gonna have to look up this one, because it's not an animal that I especially know of. Oh, it's a bit like, I don't know, actually, about that one, Chad, because I think if you were going to go with any animal that's around that sort of time period, Postosuchus, Sarcosuchus, Saurosuchus, sorry, animals like Cryptosuchus, I think there are better versions of similar animals, I think. Hesperionis is definitely my most wanted species of the game. Tanistropheus is second. I will say now, Polsky, that Tanistropheus is one of my confirmed animals that would come in my Lagoon expansion. I mean, it was also one of the ones I was going to introduce in my Triassic expansion. What were the other ones in my Triassic period expansion? I know Platyosaurus was obviously one, because Platyosaurus is always in my Triassic. What would my Triassic DLC look like? Let's have a look. So Platyosaurus. Was definitely one. Tanistropheus was definitely one. Oh, Chasmatosuchus was one. And Pitinosaurus was the other. So that's what I had in my Triassic one. Tanistropheus, I just think, is such a unique animal that I think it's worth having. Do you think we'll get a superstar CC Smilodon in Jurassic World? Oh, I do not play Jurassic World the game. It's one of those mobile titles I just ignore, basically. A gondola Archie says a gondola attraction for a first year anniversary gift, like with the zipline from the second game. That zipline was weird. That zipline attraction came out of nowhere and doesn't really feel like it's based on anything. It was so out of left field, and I still don't really use it. I don't really like it. I think it's not very well designed. It strikes me of like a last minute, oh, we found this in our Google Drive, so we finished it and we gave it to you all. It's based on the Camp Cretaceous zipline. Oh, I see. It just comes out of nowhere, and I think there are far better attraction ideas that you could consider having that is not a zipline. If they add Tanny, I hope that they upscale it a bit, since then it would be shorter than Nodo. I don't think that's a particularly bad idea, though, Polsky. I don't think there's anything wrong with it being smaller. I mean, how big even is Tanistropheus? Let's have a look at its estimations. It's 6 meters long. I mean, I don't think Tanistropheus is that... I don't think it needs upscaling. Tanistropheus is very long and quite thin. It would be a bit... It would look almost like a snake in that lagoon, really, given how its proportions are, which I think is perfectly fine. I think 6 meters is good. Is a perfectly fine length. I don't think it needs to be upscaled. Yeah, Archie, I'm with you. I appreciate the zipline, but I wouldn't go on it. I think some sort of gondola ride, because they've got it in Planet Zoo. They could just give us the one from Planet Zoo. I would be happy with that. It doesn't... like, a gondola would be so good to have. Kairu raises a good point. Like, the complete lack of Japanese dinosaur species, or prehistoric Japanese animals in general, I think is pretty poor for a game that uses, used Japan as a selling point in the trailer. Do you think Tylo will use the shark feed? No, I don't think it will. Tylo is just not big enough. If you actually look at how tall that shark feeder is, and you it just doesn't... I think Tylo, like, a lot of people were asking Tylo to be a shark-feeding animal when in Evolution 2, and I just don't see the reason for it. If you want a shark-feeding Mosasaurus, use the Mosasaurus. I don't... What do you get by making Tylosaurus eat from the shark feeder, apart from a copycat of a mosasaur that attacks at the shark feeder? And Ads makes a good point. Like, all the returning animals so far have been pretty bad in terms of their reintroduction. Very limited, if any, remodeling. Pretty poor sexual dimorphism, and no real changes to animations, so... Yeah, Fukiraptor, I think, is one of those standard Japanese dinosaurs that we could have. In fact, the Lagoon expansion mod idea that I have has... There was an animal I picked specifically because it's Japanese as well, so... I asked Evo, and she mentioned a shark tunnel as well, which I would... They need to make it so that the path can be attached to lagoons and aviary areas like a torture. So, Archie, I was actually trying to think about when... Because obviously I'm doing my lagoon expansion video. The problem inherently with connecting anything to the lagoons is that the lagoons are never above ground. You always have to dig out to get to something that you could attach something like a path or a tour to. I've come up with a solution for my expansion mod, but I think that's inherently the problem with doing stuff like tunnels that connect to paths for lagoons, is that inherently the lagoons are always below the ground level. And thinking about Frontier wanting to make the game as accessible as possible, I think that adds an extra dimension of complexity that they are unwilling to accept. Why was Deinonychus the only one to get a redesign? That's a good idea. That's a good point, Chad. Maybe because most people were pretty vocal about Deinonychus in the first game? Or maybe it was a selling point, Kairu. That's a good idea. Yeah, Guillermo, those are all perfectly valid Japanese animal species. And there are, you know, Japanese prehistoric animals and other family groups. So I just think it's bizarre that they added Japan as this big selling point, especially in the trailer. The trailer used the Japan map a lot. And it did, and there's not a single Japanese animal in the game. It's almost insulting, really. Fletcher, do you think they'll ever add undescribed species? No, because there are far too many normally described species for that. And even if you run out of dinosaurs, well, even if you run out of Mesozoic period animals, Permian period animals, Cenozoic period animals, there's plenty for them to use. Yeah, the again, this is a bit like that Pteranodon that Evo has on her video. It's very difficult to get the camera into a position when you're doing something like this where you don't get the occasional weird oddity where something passes close to the camera. It's just one of those weird oddities. I feel the main area of the game is lacking is in attractions. Yeah, I'm with you, Archie. Again, I would happily pay £7 for a bunch of new attractions. Happily. Because fundamentally, you know, again, new creatures are fine, but I want new stuff to do with them. That's why I want animal enrichment. Because I want to enrich the animals. That's why I want new attractions. I want there to be new ways of displaying the animals. I don't want more animals as much as I want more ways of using the animals in the park. Animals on their own are just not enough. A Viking-style build set would be pretty cool, actually. Tumbleweed. That's a pretty cool idea. Would you rather have Ouranosaurus, Carcharodontosaurus, or Camarasaurus back? Camarasaurus easily. I don't think we are desperate for a large theropod right now, and the Ouranosaurus I hate. So, a Camarasaurus. But I would prefer... Okay, I would take a remodeled Urano over Camara, but I would take a remodeled Camara over a bog standard Urano. There we go. It's never easy. It's never simple with me. Never simple. Do we have any other dinosaurs discovered in Antarctica? Let's have a look, shall we? Dinosaurs from Antarctica. So Cryolophosaurus, obviously. Glacially... Hang on. Glacialisaurus, which is a sauropodomorph that lived alongside Cryolophosaurus. So they've got a plateosaurid similar animal. Antarctopelta, which is the armored dinosaur. Morosaurus, which is a Dryosaurus, basically. And Trinosauria, which is another Dryosaurus. Similarity. So there's a few. You're so cryos and so freaking lonely. I'm glad Cryo has come back. It's one of those animals I really did love from Evolution 2. I think Evolution 2 had a really strong new species lineup. In fact, I did a video on this as well, comparing it to Evolution 3 some time ago. And when you think about Evolution 2, you had the Cryolophosaurus, you had the Amargasaurus, you had Coelophysis. I feel like Evolution 2 had really, really strong new animals. And Evolution 3 didn't. We got Lokiceratops, which is probably the best ceratopsian in game. Patagotitan, which was just basically a replacement for Alamosaurus that we already had. God, it's hard to think of. Oh, Kyaraja, which is just basically Tabajara. I definitely think Evolution 2 had the better new animals. What about Megalania? I think when you start talking about non-Mesozoic period or non-dinosaur life, things like Megalania, Gorgonopsids and stuff make a certain degree of sense. Would you all want Jacob? Too small. The game already has a serious problem with small animals. Actually, let's talk about that actually. evolution to introduce this problem of small animals. And Evolution 3 still kind of has the problem with small animals. Now, the obvious solution to that is copy Planet Zoo or copy Prehistoric Kingdom. But is there a way of doing it that doesn't copy them? Like, can you come up with a new way of helping display small animals that does not directly copy Prehistoric Kingdom? See, Corey says give us vivariums like PK, but that's copying them. Is there a way of doing it that doesn't copy those other games? I really like a mesh sort of style building where you don't lose out on unique movement. That's my idea, Archie. I'm thinking give us modular building pieces that are just like mesh fenced all around that we can create a space for any small animal, you know, whether it's a flying one or a walking one, that you can then create a habitat of. But the problem with that is then the scale factor comes in. We would have to have some way of getting food and water for those animals that doesn't require that enormous water brush right now. Well, Corey, that's just copying Prehistoric Kingdom's idea, isn't it? I'm thinking about, is there a way to use Evolution 3's inbuilt stuff that doesn't copy Planet Zoo or Prehistoric Kingdom? So I'm pretty sure if Evolution 3 came along with vivariums, Prehistoric Kingdom's folks would be pretty pissed. Because I'm all for small animals. Some of my favorite prehistoric species are smaller animals. Anomalocaris, for example, is one of my favorite prehistoric animals of all time, but it's only about 0.5 meter to 1 meter long. And the game scale is just not set up for it. And regardless of how you create an enclosure, you still, you know, the big defining element of tiny animals is you have to have path viewing. Guests have to be able to see stuff from the path. That just has to be implemented for it to work. I don't think we inherently need another Carcharodontosaurid, because this is something that would like make every paleontologist cringe. They're just big theropods. Yeah, yes, there are skeletal differences and not morphological, it's the other one beginning with P. There are obvious biological differences between, you know, T-Rex, a Spinosaurus, and Carcharodontosaurus, and Giganotosaurus, but they're all basically the same thing. They're just a big-ass theropod. I don't think we need more members of specific families of theropods. Hello, the Dancing Dilo. I don't think we need more big theropods or abeliosaurs. Same with sauropods or mid-sized hadrosaurs. Yeah, I'm with you, Polsky. I'm good for sauropods now, or big sauropods anyway. I'm good for hadrosaurs. I don't think we need more hadrosaurs. I don't think we need more ceratopsians now, either. I mean, really, I don't think we need more terrestrial species at all. I think it's the lagoons and the aviaries that need the hard work, and then maybe come up with a new type of habitat. Something new. Because when you think about it, Evolution 3 didn't bring anything new. It just evolved on what was there and gave us modular building. Evolution 2 is what brought us like the new habitats. The Dancing Dino, we were just talking about tiny animals at that point, but I think we're done with that conversation now. And we've already talked about my feelings of the game's first year and the Lagoon expansion DLC idea that I am still in the process of developing. Yeah, Archie, I read that idea, and yeah, I think it would work. Although again, you want smaller buildings. I mean, that's the defining problem with Evolution 3. Everything is still too bloody big. Like even the building like blocks as they are for modular building, they're still huge. I don't see why, if you're building it entirely from scratch yourself, that the building block has to be massive. I understand that it's probably been done to prevent fudging the campaign, but in Planet Zoo, they're perfectly happy for it, so I don't understand why in Evolution 3, like, the hotel building needs to be, like, massive. Just make it a square. A 2x2 square. For everything, or smaller than that. It's fine. If we're modular building, give us some... Because it limits your shapes of what you can do. I wonder what they're going to do for the anniversary. Well, like I say, I think we're likely to get the next Dinosaur Pack DLC then. And again, I'm not sure we'll get another free DLC species. I think we were all a little bit surprised that they did that again last time, and I think we were all pretty convinced they did it to say sorry for fucking us around for several months. Do you think that if Evolution 4 ever happens, Frontier will give Mutsporosaurus a nose tumor? Look, I'm just going to say now, if they did do an Evolution 4, I would not buy it. I've reached my limit when it comes to Frontier games of the Evolution franchise, at the very least. And I do not see what they could do for an Evolution 4 to make it reasonable to buy. Cenozoics, I do not care about, and they're in Prehistoric Kingdom. Better growth of baby stages, I've got Prehistoric Kingdom for that. Everything they could possibly do to make an Evolution 4 worth buying is already being done by Prehistoric Kingdom. So there's nothing Evolution 4 could do to make me want to get it. Now, modular building is so fucking tedious. So, one of the videos that releases while we are on our collective holiday for the next couple of weeks is me building my DIN hotel. And that took me like 10 hours. And quite a lot of it was tedious crap that I just got rid of in the editing to cut the video down. The video is about 40 minutes long as it is. And that's like too long, personally. I wanted it to be half an hour, but it went over. Basically, they gave us Minmai to cover themselves after the mess. That's my opinion, Cairo. And it might be a slightly cynical opinion, but these days cynicism seems to be the course of action to take. I think that the lagoon species are just underwhelming. Evolution 2 had 3 super unique lagoon species. Evolution 3 has none. Yes, it has Megalodon and the Dunk stand out, but they aren't enough. Yeah. Again, this comes back to that metaphor I said about the butter and the bread. If you get rid of the butter, which is the species, what you end up with is the same moldy bread that's been there since Evolution 1. We need new bread. We need better bread. I don't know where this metaphor is going. We need French bread. That's what Evolution 3 needs. French bread. Hello, Joshua. I personally feel that the majority of the improvements from Evolution 2 should have just gone to Evolution 1 instead, and then Evolution 2 would have been a focus on what Evolution 3 improves. That would have been the logical progression for me. I think when we look back on it, I think it's quite clear Evolution 2 is more Evolution 1.5. It was very much the side grade that they quickly put out to bank money from the franchise. I mean, when you look at the fact that it had that really boring, bland menu and no campaign to speak of, it just feels like there's a lack of passion in there. I agree with you, Kairu. I would have taken Shoni over Minmai. I don't particularly like Minmai. I think its implementation has been quite bad. For Lagoon species, I think Platycarpus, Helicobraea, Orthocaris, and Dolichops would be good choices. They are all good choices. I'm afraid none of them are in my Lagoon DLC. They are all good choices. None of them are in my Lagoon DLC. How do you pronounce scone? Pronounce it scones. And I don't care what you Americans say, your biscuits are scones. They're just not sweet. And they don't have raisins and shit in. Once Planet Zoo 2 drops, I think I know which game I'll be playing more. Yes, ads, and I think when Planet Zoo 2 drops, I think Evolution 3 is going to see a definite drop. I think the Planet Zoo creators that, you know, came and made shit for Evolution 3, taking advantage of the fact it had modular building, are going to bugger off. And I think the comparison between Planet Zoo 2 and Evolution 3 is not going to be in Evolution 3's favor. A biscuit is a biscuit. Apart from when it's a cookie, Graham. Raisins taste like gunpowder. No, they don't. I really hate how obvious the favoritism for the Planet series is from Frontier. Again, Archie, I don't think it's inherently favoritism. I think it's inherently the difficulty of working with a brand. I think the brand is the problem. Like I said in my video this week, the brand brings problems to the game. Are we forgetting wafers? No, Dancing Dealer. In fact, one of my favorite biscuits as a kid were Pink Panther wafers. Could demolish a pack of them these days. Oh yeah, Planet Zoo 2 is beautiful. The lighting changes definitely help it. Yeah, I understand that, but I don't feel it should be used as an excuse for a lack of proper animal behavior. I agree, Archie. I mean, you're speaking to probably one of the most vocally critical people against Frontier, and I have always been quite critical of Frontier ever since Evolution 1. I mean, that's how me and Best in Slot got into an argument. Well, not an argument. I just thought he was acting a bit of a knob. Back in the day. But yeah, I'm with you, Archie. It's not an excuse, but it is a cause. Oatmeal and raisin versus chocolate chip. If they're homemade, probably oatmeal and raisin. If they're not homemade and store-bought, chocolate chip. I wonder what Swerve would say about your arguments. Well, Marconian, Swerve blocked me and the channel after I commented on the fact that he was still calling Jurassic World Rebirth Jurassic City. And I called him out for spreading misinformation. And then he turned around with that bullshit, I was the one who told everyone it was called Jurassic World Rebirth because I have people on the inside, etc, etc, etc. And then he blocked the channel and blocked me, so just screw him. We need proper herding and enrichment. We do. Proper enrichment. Well, ads. Back when we were all wondering what... I'm going to change the music. Back when we were all wondering what Jurassic World Rebirth was going to be called, Swerve started this rumor that it was Jurassic City. And then even after we all found out it was called Jurassic World Rebirth, he was still calling it Jurassic City. And Evo had like a bunch of comments and stuff in her videos and in stream chats that the name was wrong because Swerve said it was Jurassic City and he has insider information and all the rest of it. And I called him out for spreading misinformation and having clickbaity thumbnails on Twitter, and then he responded by getting pithy with me and then blocked me. That's what happened. The one thing I've learned from the Evolution 3 community is that Swerve should not be trusted. Look, I'm sure he is, as an individual, I'm sure he's perfectly nice. I think as a YouTuber, he relies on clickbait. He relies on the, not stupidity of his audience, but on the young age of his audience. I think he relies on half-truths or mistruths too much. I think he can be particularly childish in his responses to people when he is criticized. And frankly, and I have said this before, and I'll be very careful how I say it, I think anybody choosing to live in a predominantly Arab country like the UAE that do have very particular feelings about the rights of women, about the rights of the LGBT community. I think if you live in a country that has those particular ideals, I think it does call into question something about yourself. I would never live in a country that was against the rights of women, against the rights of LGBT people, because I think if you have the capacity to live anywhere, and he obviously does, you don't choose to live in a place that demonizes LGBT people and that treats women like shit. And Chad, I'm sure I am using, I'm generalizing here. Obviously, not everyone is going to grow up in the same. I freely admit I'm generalizing entirely here. I'm just saying as a general rule, if I had to choose to live somewhere, I would not choose to live in a place with those particular general political governmental perspectives. Hello, Goofy Goof. But yeah, Chad, I'm, you know, holding my hands up. I accept generalizing the situation. If only to not, you know, directly accuse people of shit. He saw Dominion like 12 times or something on the day it came out, and honestly, fucking twice was enough for me. Honest to God, that film was dreadful. But then Rebirth came out, and Rebirth made Dominion look like a masterpiece. I legitimately don't think Rebirth is a bad Jurassic film. I think Rebirth is one of the worst films I've ever seen. I've seen quite a few bad movies in my time, and Rebirth is up there. I wonder how many times he watched Rebirth. I don't know. Hopefully enough to learn that it wasn't called Jurassic City. That was a petty remark. I don't care, Swerve. I love the cinematography of Rebirth. It just came out at the wrong time with the wrong writing. The concept of going back to an island should have been explored after proper dinos in our world. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think it's a terrible movie overall, Archie, is that it takes all of the possibilities of the previous films and retcons them all in order to return us to a very safe concept that was thoroughly explored in the 90s with 3 perfectly relevant films in the 90s and 2003. That's why I think Rebirth is a terrible film, because it doesn't move the franchise ahead, it regresses the franchise backwards to something that was already explored, done to death, and had problems. Yeah, like, why create another island? Honey, I've lost another dinosaur-infested island. To coin a phrase from the new Star Wars films, somehow there's another island with dinosaurs on it. You know, how many more islands are they going to magic up? No, Chad, I do not. Yeah, they shouldn't have hired David Cope. Funnily enough, Polsky, my buddy went to watch, was it Disclosure Day? That was another David Cope run, and he hated it. So it's quite clear that when it comes to Jurassic Park 1, that was like David Cope's best work, and then ever since it's just been naff. Like, people have asked me to like rewrite Rebirth, because I do agree that with what people say, that it's perfectly easy to criticize, but it's a lot harder to create. Which is why I did my own version of Dominion, because I'd criticized Dominion so much, I decided to do my version of the film to demonstrate that I was capable of trying to create something better. Trying to do that for Rebirth is really hard, because to rewrite Rebirth, basically it wouldn't be Rebirth anymore, because I would throw the entire thing away. Like, everything would just go. And at that point, you're not making Jurassic World Rebirth better, you're just making a new Jurassic film. To actually still, to claim that you're still making it a rewrite, you still have to have some of the original in there, and I just don't think anything of Rebirth is worth keeping. If they bring back the human dino hybrid concept in another Jurassic film, I would crash out. Yeah, I think if they did that, I think that would be the official point where the franchise had leapt the shark. They had leapt the megalodon. and very much probably been eaten by it. I think a lot of the ideas they had in the movie were good. It's just both execution and timing, because we'd already dealt with the islands for like 5 movies. Honestly, at this point, I just think Jurassic should be left alone. I mean, they're making less money off the films. Like, Rebirth is the worst performing of the films since Jurassic World. I just think they should... There's nothing wrong with letting a franchise settle down for a bit, or stopping a franchise. This is kind of something that I wish modern TV would understand. Like, there's a reason why I preferred Futurama to The Simpsons, and that's because Futurama ended. They wrote an end, and then they brought it back and ruined it. In my opinion, Chaos Theory did Dominion better than Dominion did Dominion. But I've long since believed that Dominion should have opened with the Battle at Big Rock. I think putting the Battle of Big Rock out was a silly idea. I would have made the Battle at Big Rock the opening of Dominion, because that sets up the reality of the situation so well. And then you could get rid of that stupid news report story with that influencer, which is just a terrible way of opening a film. Why the unholy fuck are we still going? Yeah. There's a quote from my favorite video game reviewer that he actually used, I think, in his Jurassic World Evolution review for the first game, that Jurassic as a franchise was old hat, and now it's become so old hat that it's the tired, dusty brim of an old hat that's being eaten by a Stegosaurus. It's like so tired now. Yeah, we need a solid reboot, Goofy Goof, I think. We need a solid reboot of film for the franchise. Nothing wrong with rebooting it. I would almost say I wouldn't mind them remaking Jurassic Park. Put the franchise to bed for like 3-4 years. Use that time to find an actual good writer and an actual good director, and then come back rebooting the franchise. Either remake Jurassic Park but make it more novel accurate, or tell a slightly different story post Jurassic Park 3 or The Lost World, or hell, even carry on from Dominion and just make the incident of Jurassic World Rebirth, retcon the film out of existence. Or hell, tell an alternative timeline story. Star Trek used to do that all the time, and it was usually quite good. Give me the director's role, I'll bring back the whimsy and hopefully the intelligence of the original film, but in a new space. That's definitely something the new films have lost, is that whimsy. They tried to do it in Rebirth with the Titanosaurs, the sort of the wonder and the whimsy of it all, and it just didn't work because it was so clearly a copycat of the Brachiosaurus scene. Well, setting anything in Russia these days, Chad, might be a little controversial. For obvious reasons. Ah, but the baryonyx model in Fallen Kingdom is so bad, Corey. Barry is one of my favorite dinosaurs of all time, and they did it a disservice in that film by making it look like a mutant alligator. Primitive War was bad. I haven't seen it yet because I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, because I don't do very well with these like cheesy B-movie things like Sharknado and shit. Primitive War just seems to like slots into the same place for me as like films like The Meg. Just it's cheesy nonsense that I have no interest in watching. You know, if there's like, I have a list of fossils that I've always wanted to own, and a baryonyx claw is one of them. Even a replica, I'd be happy with the replica. Wow, Chad, that's quite the thing to put in chat. The end of Oak Street, it's another one, like I put it with like The Meg and Primitive War. It just looks like another cheesy film I don't have any interest in watching. I also don't understand. So apparently it's related to Cloverfield, which is again films I don't understand, because Cloverfield 1 was all about this giant mutant alien monster trashing the city, and then it turned into like something completely different, and then it was something completely different to that. You should all be able to hear music, yes. I don't know if it's just too quiet for you guys. Maybe I turned it down too much. Fletcher, would you go to Jurassic World without the dinosaurs, with just the attractions and Main Street? I mean, I've always personally loved the idea of exploring. I love exploring places. You know, in the UK we have castles and museums everywhere. I love wandering around a museum or a castle, or an old fort, or anything like that. Being able to explore Jurassic World when there's no people in it or dinosaurs in it would still be pretty interesting. I wish the films highlighted animal abuse better. I think, Goofy Goof, what you mean to say is that you wish the films highlighted or had more to say about animal abuse and directly called out the animal abuse where it was. Because, you know, the baby riding... Shit, what was it called? I've suddenly forgotten the name of it. But that baby riding thing at Jurassic World, that is so unethical. And awful animal abuse. Just awful animal abuse. You know what I think would make a really interesting concept for a Jurassic film? Is to take it all back and do a really simple alien isolation like story. Focus on one or a small group of survivors with one threat. And they're in a claustrophobic environment. Or lost. Or stuck out at sea. Or something. That would make for a good Jurassic film, I think. Get rid of the sort of senseless spectacle and make it a bit grittier. Yeah, Archie. We'll have a group of campers going for a hike in the woods and they attract the attention of some sort of animal. I think that's kind of what bugs me about dinosaur films these days. Not even just thinking about Jurassic, but thinking about how dinosaurs are being used in general. I'm just so disappointed. Like the person who made Primitive War, which is a cheesy time travel Vietnam story, literally based on a book, and that spawned a bunch of other similar books, is now making a story about dinosaurs and cowboys. And I just looked at that and was like, really? That's what these animals have been degraded to? Being in a fucking cowboy film? Like, really? Yeah, Goofy Goof. Do something like The Walking Dead. Or something like that. Just something to add the fear factor on the horror back. Because there is no fear factor in any of the new Jurassic films. Because everyone has plot armor that's massively thick. Unless you're a corporate bad guy. Or a red shirt. Like, I wouldn't say Jurassic Park was scary, but you felt that everybody was in danger. Legitimate danger. Like, characters that had been in the film from the start died. Characters that were named and had plenty of lines died. They killed a child. Briefly, but they did kill a child. And they put 2 children in really serious danger multiple times. Jurassic World tried to do that, but didn't do a very good job. And then after that, basically everyone has a million tons of plot armor on. Corey, that sounds a bit bizarre. Yeah, exactly, Goofy Goof. In JP1, everyone feels they're under threat. Everybody feels in danger all of the time once things start going down. Oh god, that family in Rebirth. I just wanted to... The father who sprained his ankle and miraculously can't do anything at the points where there is something that has to be done so the daughter can go and put herself in deliberate danger. And I'll tell you now, if I was his father, I would not be letting her be around that twerp, whatever his name was. I wanted to stab him in the face with a sharp newspaper covered in lemon juice. I wanted to stab him in the eye. He was so annoying, and I would not be allowing my daughter to be in a relationship with someone like that. If that's the best she could find, fuck it. Be single. Xavier, that's it. God, he was annoying. I do not condone violence. Yeah, I wanted the Velociraptors to maul him to death too, but alas, it never happened. You know what's really bizarre? And I might make a video defending this. I prefer the Kirbys in Jurassic Park 3 to the family in Rebirth. The Kirbys are annoying, but they're annoying for a reason, because none of them know about this dinosaur-infested island. None of them are capable of understanding the danger, and they're doing it to rescue their kid. So yeah, of course Mrs. Kirby is going to scream and shout and be an idiot because she's trying to rescue her child. In any case, I'm going to stop the music here. I am going to have to start wrapping this up, because it is almost time for me to go and play D&D, as it is Sunday. And this is the last stream from us that we will be doing for a couple of weeks. Because like I say, Fallout is flying over here on Tuesday. And then he's here until the 4th? I think, somewhere around that. So for the next couple of weeks, we are all basically, the whole of the Triclaw peoples, we're on holiday. We're taking a much needed break, basically. So there'll be no streams in that time. There are videos planned, ready to go out every Wednesday. The next video for Dane, next video for me, next video for Fallout. So they are all planned to go out. So there will be some content from us, but there just won't be streams, or probably won't be. There might be 1 or 2 streams here or there while we're on break, if there's, you know, a day we're not doing anything. But, you know, irrespective, we will probably not be back now until the first week of August. So, I hope all of you enjoy your time. Thank you for coming to chat with me. It's been much appreciated. I do like doing these discussion chats. I hope you all have a good rest of, you know, the summer and such. That is also a good idea, Archie. Yeah, we might do another chat stream in this period. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I hope everyone has a good rest of the evening. Enjoy the rest of July and the end of summer. And I hope you enjoy the videos that are planned to go out while we're on our break. But until next time, stay safe, everybody, and good night.